It was the morning of my 28th birthday, and I woke up to silence. Not a single happy birthday text, no balloons, no pancakes. Just the faint clinking of dishes from the kitchen downstairs, and the low hum of the vacuum running across the tile floor. I lay there for a second, staring at the ceiling of the small guest bedroom in my parents' house, wondering why I still let myself hope I'd only moved back in temporarily. That's what I told myself after my apartment lease ended and I left my job to finish night school. I just needed a few months to regroup. My parents insisted they'd support me. "We'll always be here for you," Mom had said, smiling like a saint. But ever since I came home, every meal was followed by a lecture about wasted potential. Every dinner ended with Dad muttering that I should have become a real man by now, like my brother Evan, who, conveniently, just made partner at a law firm in Chicago. I got up, slipped on jeans, and walked into the kitchen. Mom was there, arms folded, blocking the fridge. "Oh," she said flatly, "you're finally up." "Yeah," I said. "It's my birthday." She didn't smile, didn't even blink. She just nodded toward the hallway. "Put on shoes. Your father and I have something special planned for you. Something meaningful." My stomach twisted. "Meaningful? You've been entitled lately, Leo," she said, like she was reading off a script. "And this year, we wanted to give you something you need, not just something you want." I glanced around. No gifts, no card, not even a candle. Dad walked in a moment later, keys in hand, already by the door. "Let's go." 15 minutes later, we pulled up to a house I didn't recognize. It was a rundown ranch-style home with weeds in the front lawn, faded yellow siding, and paint peeling from the shutters. A cracked basketball hoop leaned against the garage. A minivan with a missing hubcap sat in the driveway. "Whose place is this?" I asked. Mom turned in her seat. "This," she said with a bright smile, "is your gift." My throat went dry. "What are you talking about?" She handed me a pair of rubber gloves and a bucket filled with sponges and disinfectant. "You're going to spend the day cleaning this house, top to bottom?" I blinked. "Is this a joke?" "It's not," Dad said sternly. "The woman who lives here is someone from our church, Ms. Wanda. She's elderly, lives alone, and her house needs some work. You've been talking a lot about struggle and humility lately. We thought you should understand what real humility looks like. On my birthday, it's good for the soul." Mom said like she was handing out fortune cookies. "You always think everything's about you." "Well, not today. But I don't even know this woman," I said, my voice tight. "That's the point," Dad snapped. "You need to stop acting like the world owes you something." I stared at them, both, not a shred of kindness in their eyes, just smugness, as if this was some teachable moment they could pat themselves on the back for later. I got out of the car and slammed the door behind me. "Ms. Wanda greeted me with surprise. She was a small woman in her 70s with kind eyes and deep laugh. "Lines, your mama said you were coming, but I didn't expect you so early," she said, shuffling to the side and letting me in. The house was worse inside. Dust coated the windowsills. The carpet smelled like mildew. The kitchen counters were stained and cluttered. It wasn't just a birthday chore, it was a full-blown sanitation mission. For the next 5 hours, I scrubbed toilets, vacuumed ears of pet hair, cleaned food cake pans, and mopped so many floors I could still smell bleach in my nostrils hours later. But something strange happened while I was elbow-deep in grime. Ms. Wanda started talking about her husband who passed away 3 years ago, about how her son hadn't visited in almost a decade, about how the church promised volunteers to help her fix up the place, but no one ever showed. And something in me cracked, because I knew that kind of loneliness, that kind of abandonment. So I stayed longer than planned. I fixed the light in her hallway, put her curtain rods back up, cleaned out the pantry, organized her medication shelf. She offered me a sandwich, and I took it not because I was hungry, but because it was the first time someone had offered me something all day. When I finished, the sun had begun to dip, turning the living room gold. "You didn't have to do all that," she said softly. "No," I replied. "I kind of did." She looked at me, her voice shaky. "You're a good man." Whoever made you do this, maybe they were cruel about it, but it wasn't a waste. That hit harder than I expected. I returned to my parents' house that evening, still wearing the same sweat-soaked shirt. Mom looked up from her tablet. "You're back." "Yup. Did you learn anything?" Dad asked, without even turning from the TV. I stared at them for a long moment, then walked past them, up the stairs, and locked the door behind me. I didn't speak to them for the next 3 days. Not because I was angry, but because I was planning. I didn't tell them about the business call I got the next morning. Didn't tell them that Ms. Wanda, for all her dusty blinds and faded couch cushions, happened to be the retired co-founder of a now massive home services company, and that while I cleaned her kitchen, she watched me, asked questions, took notes, and that when I told her I'd worked logistics and management before, and I was taking night school in project coordination, she lit up. "You ever thought about running a field team?" That call the next morning wasn't just a thank you. It was a job offer, a real one. One that paid more than both my parents' salaries combined. One that came with a signing bonus. One that let me pick the team I wanted to manage and the properties I wanted to oversee. And I already knew which house I'd be revisiting first. My birthday wasn't ruined, it was rewired, rebuilt, realigned. And my parents, they'd set it all in motion thinking they were humbling me. But all they did was deliver me to the woman who changed everything. And I was only just beginning to show them what real work looked like. 3 weeks passed before I spoke to my parents again. By then, I wasn't in the guest room anymore. I had moved into a temporary apartment paid in full for 6 months by Ms. Wanda's company. Not a mansion, not flashy, but mine. My key, my lease, my silence. I didn't tell them I had a job. I didn't tell them that within days of cleaning her house, Ms. Wanda had connected me with her company's executive coordinator, and they'd flown me out to meet their team. I didn't mention that the role they gave me was regional field supervisor, a position that meant I now oversaw crews of contractors who went into homes across the state to organize, repair, and restore properties. No, I said nothing, because silence, when used correctly, is the sharpest tool of all. The revenge didn't begin with yelling. It began with an email. I wrote it late one night after a 14-hour day managing 3 crews, organizing repairs for a flood-damaged duplex, and personally resolving a hoarding case. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then I typed, "Hello, Ms. Wanda. I have a request regarding one of our upcoming rehab projects. I'd like to personally assign the cleaning crew for a new house at 421 Alder Street. It's not in our list yet, but I've pre-approved the budget. I'll be on site to supervise Leo for 121 Alder Street. My parents' house. See, I had been slowly setting it up for weeks. Ms. Wanda's company didn't just offer cleaning services. It specialized in restorative property transitions, meaning we help people prep homes for sale, inheritance, or foreclosure relief. I told them for 121 Alder was an upcoming partner sale under financial strain, which wasn't technically a lie, because my parents were very much under financial strain. They didn't know that the investment account Dad had relied on was being bled dry by some poor decisions, ones I knew about because I used to help him organize his tax papers. And Mom, she still hadn't paid off the home equity loan she took out to pay for Olivia's private college tuition. They were sitting on a house they couldn't afford to maintain, but were too proud to sell. And now, the cleaning team was coming. I didn't assign just anyone. I picked the loudest, youngest, most social media happy crew on staff. I told them we were documenting a before and after showcase for training purposes. I told them the family had signed the NDA. No one asked questions. I arrived first that Saturday morning in a company van, clipboard in hand, official shirt pressed. My parents opened the door in bathrobes. "Leo," my mom said, blinking. "What are you? Why are you wearing that?" Dad squinted. "Is this your job?" I smiled politely. "Good morning. We're here for your full-service cleaning and organizational reset." "Our what?" I handed over a paper. "You requested a quote weeks ago. It's all approved. We're just doing the walkthrough and documentation today." They stared at the form completely forged, with blank signature lines I had already submitted digitally. Leo, we never asked for this, my dad said firmly. Must have been someone else in the household, I said. We can still proceed. The truck's already here. Right on cue, the van pulled up. 5 workers in uniform jumped out with cameras, mops, scrubbers, and a carpet roller. My mom stepped back. This is a mistake. We don't need this. I leaned in slightly. You made me clean a stranger's house as a gift, remember? Now, I'm just helping you clean your own. They froze. The crew entered. One of them filmed a TikTok intro. Another took wide shots of the cluttered living room. One kid whistled as he lifted a stack of dusty magazines. Ho, these are like ancient. My mom tried to stop them. Voice shrill. This is our home. We didn't give permission for cameras. They're just recording for quality control, I said. And don't worry, everything's fully funded. You'll get to see how it feels to be helped. Isn't that what you taught me? My dad looked at me with something between shame and rage. You're mocking us. No, I said. I'm giving you what you gave me. Except I'm not doing it on your birthday. I'm doing it because you need humility. The house was clean top to bottom. All their hidden clutter, their outdated decor. The trophies they kept from Olivia's childhood were boxed and removed. The carpets were shampooed. The fridge was emptied. The pantry was reorganized and labeled. Their private mess became a public transformation when the video went viral on the company's official account captioned, "When you walk into a house stuck in the past." They didn't even know they were the stars until someone from church sent them a link. My phone rang that night. I didn't answer. My dad left a message. You embarrassed us. You went too far. I saved it in a folder labeled Perspective. Weeks later, the company offered me a full-time regional lead position with the option to open a satellite branch. I accepted. And I opened it in my hometown. First project. A modest suburban house needing full rework due to ownership fatigue. Guess where? That's right. For to 1 Alder Street. They begged me not to list it, but I knew things they didn't. Their loan was delinquent. Their debt-to-income ratio had sunk. They had no exit plan. So I gave them one. A silent envelope. An offer. A way out. Sell the house to the company. Walk away clean. They did. And as they packed boxes under the same roof they used to scold me in, I passed by on my clipboard. Need help lifting anything? I asked. My mom looked up, sweaty and flushed. No. You sure? I'm happy to get my gloves on. Again, she didn't respond. As they pulled away in a used SUV, I stood on the porch. They gave me humiliation. I gave them humility. They gave me gloves. I gave them a box labeled Fragile.